Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my April wrap-up. If you are new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books, beauty, and bullet journaling, mostly books. And I would love for you to subscribe, click the little notification bell. If you like the video, you like me, you want to see more, click like on the video. And be a part here with me. And before I go on tangents and start talking about things, I will get into the books. The light will probably be going in and out because the sun is going in and out, but I can't control the sun. Alright, the first book that I finished in April was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. When I was in college, I read Babylon Revisited, so I never actually got to The Great Gatsby like everyone else did in school. So this was first time reading this for me. I did love Babylon Revisited, by the way. That's really good. This was not what I expected. I wasn't really sure what to go in expecting. But it's a lot more than just Gatsby and the Roaring Twenties and decadence and all of that we kind of think of when we think about this time and when we hear this mentioned. Basically, Gatsby had met a girl when he was younger, and he fell in love with her, and he always wanted to get her back. Our main character we're actually following is his neighbor, and his cousin is that young lady who has her own like whole different life now, and everything Gatsby has done, and he's very good at reinventing himself and things like that, has been so he can win her back one day. And there's murder, there's craziness, it's just a lot. So I didn't know what to expect from this, so I was a little surprised, but it's good. Of course it's good. It's a classic and it's enduring, and it's a lot of people's like favorite book of all time, so yeah, do recommend. Next book is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. This has been on my radar for quite some time, and then it was available on Book Outlet for pretty cheap when I was doing my massive hauls that I was doing, and so I grabbed it. This is a very whimsical tale about our main character Alice and her friend, wow, I can't remember his name at all. Oh my, what is his name? Oh no. Oh no. Oliver. Oh my. So Alice and Oliver, they are from the town of Farronwood, where everything is very colorful. People get their magic from the color and from the land itself. And our main character Alice, people don't think she has magic because she's born completely colorless. What they don't realize is that the color is actually inside of her, and she is magical. But she is a strange girl. So her father goes missing, and Oliver has to find him, and so he gets Alice to help him, and they go to the land of Furthermore, which is nuts. And so it's very whimsical tale and very very strange, but I did enjoy it. It was a good time. It took me a hot minute to kind of get into it because the writing is very, very whimsical. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to follow because the land is so strange, and as the author is explaining the land, it's just kind of hard to imagine at first. But then when you get going, you kind of sucks you in. It's really good. And this is my first Tahereh Mafi, believe it or not. And from what I understand, that's very typical of her writing, but very good. And it's like an omniscient narrator who's kind of telling the story. It's really great. Okay, moving on. Next, I read this book, We Walk the Sky by Lisa Fielder. This is like a buzzword for me. If you say circus, I'm there. And especially if you say circus like old world, 50s, 60s, 70s circus, 20s, 30s, any of that. But this is a dual timeline where you have, you're following one gal in the 60s and one gal in present day. And the present day character is the granddaughter of the lady from the 60s. And one runs away to the circus for reasons. And then in present day, we follow our main character, Callie, who, her daughter, Callie's mom Callie's mom leaves the circus to go work at a animal sanctuary that houses rehomed animals that used to be in circuses. Okay, so she's leaving the circus, but Callie is a tightrope walker like her grandmother, and she loves the circus. It's all in her. It's in her blood. Her father is a trapeze artist, things like that. So she has having to deal with like having her whole life ripped out from under her and then having to learn these new ways and all of that stuff. So it's such a good time though. I enjoyed it so much, and it made me want to go learn to walk the tightrope. Like, so good, such a feel-good read. It was like, you kind of needed it, like at this time we're going through, you just kind of need a little escape that's kind of lighthearted and all of that. So I really did enjoy that one. Next is 1984 by George Orwell. I read this via ebook from my library. I have been watching a lot of Ariel Bassett, and her favorite author is George Orwell. And then there are all these books coming out that are like retellings or based on or inspired by 1984. Again, another book I hadn't read. And I picked it up. Oh my word, it was so engaging. I couldn't wait to stop what I was doing and pick that book up. And it was just, at first it was like, I just was soaking it all in. It was like very creepy, weird, and like close to home. Yeah, and I feel like if George Orwell would have known about like the internet and all of that, because it was written in 1949, that I think that it would have been even more creepy if he would have known about that. So people basically, they had screens and stuff, which I'm assuming they were more like TVs, like what we would call smart TV now, you know, like you can, like my friend, her husband travels a lot for his business, and sometimes, to be mean, he will go on his phone and he'll just turn the TV on at their house, and it scares the crap out of her. And she's like, if I ever murder him or anything, it's gonna be because of that. But like, it's like that kind of thing where they, you know, Big Brother could see them and they could take in information and all of that. And I feel like if he'd have known about iPads and things like that, that the book would be even more creepy. But I really enjoyed it. And then when we got to the end, it was like almost like this book needs to be over like now, because it was getting into like the torture part, and it was just like the psychology of it all was just like overwhelming. And it was just like, yeah. I mean, oh my, it was like a little too freaky. So anyway, I did enjoy that book. I thought it was really good, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'm just gonna move on. Did I just drop something? Something fell down my shirt. It was my necklace. My necklace, apparently I didn't hook it up. Okay, anyway, I think the next book I read was this one, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I read this in one day, actually. I took a weekend where I was like, I'm going to embrace the self-isolation, embrace the quarantine, and when I get off of work Friday, which I'm working from home, I'm literally going to just not do anything super productive on Saturday. I'm going to just read and whatever. And that's what I did. And I read this whole book in one whole day. It's really not that difficult to read. It's like 380 something pages, but it's YA, so it's larger print, more spread out. But this was a delight. I actually enjoyed this more than I thought I would. This was my book club book for the month. I feel like I'm out of breath and not speaking correctly. I'm sorry. This was my book club book of the month, or the Girls Night Out Book Club. There's information down in the description box for that. Yes, so we have our main character who is in high school. She is a teenage mother, and she lives with her grandmother. Her father is he's not really around. He lives in another country. Her mother has passed away when she gave birth to her, and she has this great ability to cook. So she is wanting to be a chef. She's wanting to go work across in Spain. They're having like the special class at her school, and part of it is to go to Spain for a week and study cooking there. And I gotta say, this was so well done. the teenage mother side, her relationship with the father, the relationship with a friend who becomes something more, just her in general. It's done so well, and I mean, I applaud this character, and the grandmother. I mean, I just applaud. There are things that other people in the book make me want to strangle them, but as far as like her character and the things that she did and the way that she was willing to work and all of that, was so impressive, and I really, really did enjoy this book, and encouraged some of the people in my group to cook some inspired dishes. I think the next thing I have, let me see. Oh yeah, so I did The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, by, is that like, let me see here. Strange Case of Dr. Robert Louis Stevenson. I knew there was a Louis in there somewhere. I bought a book off Book Outlet that I thought was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Zeke, which will make sense to you if you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But anyway, this book, it's like Dr. Jekyll, like, is kind of who you expect him to be, but based on all the, you know, sci-fi and horror things that people try to recreate Mr. Hyde or make Mr. Hyde seem to be, it's not the same, but the book is different as far as, like, they are the same person, but I think in movies and stuff, whenever Dr. Jekyll becomes Mr. Hyde, he's this huge monster, like Hulk kind of character who's just like non-thinking and just smash and all of this stuff, but that wasn't really the case. So Dr. Jekyll figured out a way to create something that made himself be all good, and then that was my dog, if you're hearing all of that noise. And if you're, like, yeah, every evil, bad, horrible thing that was within him was personified in Mr. Hyde, and he enjoyed becoming Mr. Hyde sometimes because, or at first, because he could control how, you know, coming back and forth, but also because he wouldn't feel guilty if he, like, went drinking or just was, like, living, you know, having a, you know, reveling night where he was just being wicked and all this stuff, where he didn't feel guilty at all. But then Hyde started to come out when he wasn't supposed to, and then Hyde started doing bad things like murdering people. And so there's a lot more to it that, and you're seeing kind of this through the eyes of Dr. Jekyll's lawyer who is dealing with this. So I did highly enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Zeke, which is like a modern day, but I think it's supposed to take place right after Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it was written in modern times by someone who's just kind of continuing the story. So I'm looking forward to that. And now we come to the Stay Home Reading Rush reading that I did. And so the 16th of April, I woke up with horrible pain in my abdomen, and there was no relief. And then 2 hours later, still horrible. And it was like, I couldn't function or think. I was literally sitting in the floor in this room arguing with YouTube because my videos weren't posting. I'm rocking back and forth. I'm in so much pain. And finally I just went in and I was like, Ryan, I need to go to the ER. I have never asked to go to the ER ever in my life. And long story short, before the day was over, my gallbladder had been taken out. I had some sort of attack there, and it was bad. So I'm still healing from that. Looks like I have 3 stab wounds in my stomach from them taking that out laparoscopically, but I'm doing better, much better. But when I got home that night, because it was the first night of the Stay Home Reading Rush, and I'm dedicated, I read Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny Sun. This is a graphic novel that's written kind of like that. So even though it's almost 300 pages, it's not. So I read that, and it's also a feel-good read, so it made me feel like heartwarmed and all that. For the rest of the reading rush, the Stay Home Reading Rush, I did Anne of Green Gables, and both of these or rereads for me. Which reminds me, be sure you are subscribed to this channel because Monday there is a big announcement. Follow me on Instagram. Big announcement coming on Monday. But Anne of Green Gables. I don't know what else to say. This is an amazing book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I read it for the first time, I think, last year, the year before. And I just enjoy it so much. It was exactly what I needed because I was not feeling well and I needed to feel well. So I cannot recommend Anne of Green Gables enough. And last but not least, with all of the 1984s, Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hydes, and the COVID-19s, I have needed some feel-good reads. So we come to this one, The Vintage Teacup Club by Vanessa Green. This is not something I would normally just like up and pick up, but I saw this on Instagram, the cover, and for some reason I just had to have this. It was on Book Outlet, which was my suspicion. So basically the premise of this is there are 3 ladies. They are at a like vintage market, flea market type place, and they all 3 fall in love with this one tea set, a group of teacups, and they all want them for 3 different things. So one of the ladies asks the stall guy to hold them for about an hour, and they go and talk and discuss what they want them for. And they find that they all 3 can use them, so they buy them together and agree to use them at the specific times that they're wanting them for, like weddings and stuff like that. And then they decide, because they need more teacups and stuff for their events, that they will all together and separately and all of that be looking for teacups for each other. And it is about their friendship building and also about the things going on within their lives during these times while they're building these friendships, looking for these teacups during this time. And it's darling and it's just heartwarming, and there are some things that happen that you're just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? So like there's then troubles, there's money troubles, there's stuff like that. But yeah, really have like enjoyed being along the ride with these 3 ladies. And that, my friends, is the April wrap up I got for you there. So be sure again you are subscribed so you won't miss the announcement on Monday, and that you also will not miss anything. Be sure you're following me on Instagram. Alright, thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you again right here very soon on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.